Right. It looks like we are live. Yes, we are live. Well, welcome everybody. We have been on spring break for the last couple of weeks of the Liberation Lounge. So I'm excited to be back. And this is a really special episode. You know, some of you are on my email list. And if you're not on my email list, and you'd like to be on my email list, I would love to have you on my email list. You can just drop, hey, email list in the comments and I'll be sure to get you on my email list. But for those of you who are on my email list, I said, hey, it's summer. We're really excited about what's happening. The weather's great. But you know what also happens is that people tend to spend more money. And so when we start spending more money, we also need to be very mindful of how we are investing our resources, how we're budgeting, and then certainly as women, and our audience is mostly women that are in midlife, right? And so as we are coming into our midlife years, it's also really important to understand some of these strategies so that we can take better control over our finances. And so I could not think of a better person to have that conversation with than my personal financial guru and CFP, who I had the pleasure of knowing for quite a few years, began working with, and I'm just really, really excited to have her today. So we are here for episode 15 of April Joy's Liberation Lounge, where we have real talk with real women with none other than Miss Apryl Pope. April, how are you doing today?
I am good. I'm so good. I'm so glad to see you. April and April. We got two Aprils on the screen. This is so
That's
much
right.
fun. Absolutely love it. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks for thinking of me. I always love having a conversation with you. So looking forward
Yes,
to it.
yes. Well, I am so incredibly excited. And this is going to be a really casual conversation, but I do want to encourage those of you that are watching us live, go into the chat, go into the comments. And if you have, specific things that you're like, oh, I would love to learn more about this or learn more about that, certainly feel free because we can certainly bring April on another time as well to answer more of your questions. But I want to just start with just a brief introduction. So if you can just start just by telling us a little bit more about you, April, and your story and what really inspired you to go into a career in financial planning and advising.
Yeah, great question. So yeah, as you mentioned, now you see like, oh, it's April, certified financial planner, owns book financial planning. Like it did not start there. But this actually is my 10th year in business. So I'm celebrating 10 years, which I'm super excited about. So when you think about like, yeah, what happened 10 years ago that made me think like, do I want to wake up and be a financial planner or advisor or whatever it is? I didn't even know what those things were. So I was actually a high school teacher. I was a high school math teacher when I transitioned
Wow. Hmm.
into financial planning. And really what spurred the change was us having kids and needing to adult. So I
Yeah.
literally, like, we had moved back to Cincinnati. I was hanging out with a friend. I saw a book on her table and it was something about get your money life together. And I'm like, oh, we're pretty decent. I don't know. Let me read this. I read that book. I'm like, we are a hot mess, like a whole hot mess. I'm like, we got two humans, like our babies are like 1 and 3. I'm like, we got these little kids like depending on us. And it made me like, and actually he was still a newborn. I was like nervous. You're at home. And I was like, I have to get this together. So we just did I was like, no, we had no life insurance. We had no estate planning. We had no wills, no
Mm.
trust plan, nothing.
Yeah.
So I got all that together and was like, just felt so good about it. I was like, I'm adulting. I'm feeling really, really good. And then I took 4 jobs. I was working 4 full-time, like 4 jobs to make sure we could like get out of debt and do all the things that I was learning that sounded so cool. And then we
Yeah.
kind of put everything together and I was feeling good. And then boom, I got hit with thyroid cancer. Like random,
Mm.
didn't know. I'm like, what? Like just my regular checkup. The reason I bring that up is because I had already gone through this whole journey and gotten all this stuff together. Like when I went in, they were like, do you have a healthcare power of attorney? Do you have, I'm like, yes, I do. I do. I have all that. Like I felt
Yeah.
had an emergency savings. I knew what to do. So I feel like I was able to take care of myself, my family as we transitioned through that whole thing. And then I started teaching it to other people. So while I was a high school teacher, I would teach in the evenings one of these courses like financial peace to parents and fellow teachers in the evening, just volunteering. And it just kept growing from there. It just became my passion. And I did all the licenses and did all the things and
Yeah.
launched 10 years ago. And here I am.
Awesome, awesome. And I so appreciate some of the things that you just talked about. It's like a lot of times we have this, like, I call it almost like a day of reckoning where you're like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? And you began to realize, okay, we got some things that we really got to get
Mhm.
together here, right? And
Yes.
thank God you did, right? Because when you had a life crisis show up, you thankfully were at least financially prepared to be able to and even just life prepared, right? You had certain things in place because of the education that you got. And I really just want the women and the men, because I know we have some great male allies that are pretty regular with watching the show. I think it's really important that we pay attention to the details, right, in this conversation, because oftentimes we are kind of operating in a vacuum, like in our own volition, and we really need to understand that there are very specific things that we all need to have in place, and there are boxes that we need to be sure that we are checking, right, when it comes to our own financial health. We go to the doctor, we do, our checkups, but what kind of financial checkup
Mhm.
are people actually doing on a regular basis? So I really love that process that you just went through with us. So let's just kind of get into the conversations that I think a lot of women begin to have, especially as they come into their 40s, right? They have these with their sisters, their aunties, their girlfriends. And, what I'm finding is that there are so many smart, capable women who still feel really disempowered and anxious when it comes to their finances. They're
Mhm.
just like, not really feeling equipped.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how can we really shift that for women and kind of demystify the complexity around financial planning so that we can just make it really simple for them to understand?
Yes, I know. I see that every day. I kind of see myself as like a personal CFO for
Yeah.
moms and majority of my moms who are busy doing everything
Yep.
else. So I feel like, yes, as women, like we've made so much progress, like professionally and education, like
Yep.
we're doing all this kind of stuff, but a lot of us still carry these generational narratives.
Yep.
Something like money is bad or it's you're fearful or, avoid it or like let somebody else do it. Even though we've shed so many other things, it's
Yep.
like it's just there that you don't even know about it. So it's not lack
Yep.
of intelligence because we are super smart.
Yep.
It's really just like the exposure and like the encouragement and feeling okay talking about it. So I
Mhm.
feel like that's what's you see these smart women that are strong, like you said, doing everything, and they're taking care of the whole world. They're taking care of the home, the
Yep.
family, the kids, the work, like every
Yep.
single thing. So it's like if they could do that with money. It's not
Yep.
the education there, it's just that fear. So what we're doing and what I like to try to find is like, how can we normalize money? This is it. You're doing it. I always say normalize money conversations, have those conversations. Like build financial education into your transitions. We all transition. So like I
Yep.
think we just think like, oh, that was money when I was young. We're young, then we transition into maybe finding a life partner. Okay, how's
Mhm.
that work? Then maybe we move on and say, life partner, that wasn't it. We wasn't for life, which
Yep.
is half of us out there.
Yep.
So that transition, or
Yep.
retirement or switching jobs. So all these different turns have different things. And I think we just need to normalize when we have our girlfriend conversations, like and we do, me and my friend, like we talk about money. We talk about all
Yep.
the things because if we're talking about it, then you start to just feel more comfortable and maybe we can get rid of that generational like fear that's just there. Like we want to shed it. I'm literally like, oh, like get rid of it.
Yes. Yeah, and I love what you're talking about, because I was just having this conversation with my partner just the other day, and we were talking about so many things that are happening right now that are affecting women's rights.
Mhm.
Okay? And the conversation that we were having was around women and money. And I said, I don't think a lot of people realize that a woman couldn't even own a credit card until the 50s. He's like, April, it was later than that. He's like, it was in the 70s, like 74, I think. And he started looking it up
Yeah.
real time while we were on the phone.
Mhm.
And it was like up until the 70s, even into the early 80s, a woman needed to have basically a man
Man,
co-sign.
co-sign on the yeah, before you couldn't even have it in your own name. In
You
that
couldn't even have it in your own name. So he literally said to me, "April, you I don't even think you realize you are the first generation of women who can buy a house on her own, have her own credit card in her own name, who can get a personal line of credit if she needed, can have her own retirement account. You are the first generation who can do that. 100% on her own from the time you were born to the age you are right now. You are first generation." And I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, like it totally blew my mind." So, to your point, we as women have to understand, one, we want to maintain that control,
Mhm.
right? That we currently have, because life is different today, right? Women are getting married, they're getting divorced, they're living internationally. They need to understand tax strategy, right? There's all of these other components that we have to understand. But just the fact that we have the ability to be able to control our own wealth, we really need to own that ability. We
Mhm.
really need to understand the agency that we have when it comes to controlling our money. And so I really, really love that. So let's talk about, how women can really begin to build a financial plan that really honors their long-term vision as well as the current season that we're in. And I just want to frame this up a little bit because, we've had our sister girl conversations as it relates to the transitions that I went through. And I really loved your approach. And I remember when my brother passed away, and you were like, "You know what, April, I want you to consider maybe some things in your life that maybe you always wanted to do, or maybe, you and your brother wanted to do together that you never had an opportunity to do. And maybe this is the season to do it." Right. And it was an interesting perspective because it was like, okay, what can I do to enjoy my life today? But what can I also do to determine what I want my life to look like 3 to 5 to 10 years from now? And to be able to sit and really strategize on that and take the time to even consider what you want that to look like, right?
Yeah.
I think is really, really important. So, how do you think women can really build that financial plan that, honors the current season, but also the long-term vision that they have?
Yes, no, absolutely. I love that. That was enjoyed that conversation too. Like it does not have to be like this or that.
Yeah.
It's yes and. And so even with planning, like I'm not here to sit all day, work all day to have people like plan something for when they're 65 and gonna retire. Like that's boring. Like, I'm just
Mhm.
honest and
Mhm.
frank. And like we have so much life before then. Like there's too much
Yeah.
life right now. So it's like you don't have to. People think like you have to sacrifice today, like, and a lot of some of the traditional financial education in there, like cut back on everything, suffer today, move in the basement of your parents' house. Like, if that works for you, that's great.
Sure.
To each his own. What I'm finding is that's not what most people want to do. They want to live now. They want to still have their annual vacations while they're getting out
Yeah.
of debt.
Yep.
They wanna still save for retirement, but they do wanna help their kids go to college.
Yep.
So putting all that together, but the thing is you still need to have a plan. So it's
Yep.
really like acknowledging first, if this is important to you, both are important. Now and the future are important. And even
Yep.
just saying that a lot, you think it, but just saying it. Like, my
Yes.
life today is very important. I don't know, and I feel like there was a shift around COVID. People
Yep.
started like, "We think we're gonna live forever, think whatever," and then it was like, "Oh, people are, like, dropping off." I have seen just even a different mindset shift of, like,
Yes.
not like YOLO, just go crazy, but, like,
Yep.
we don't know how long we're gonna be here,
Yep.
so let's make sure we're enjoying ourselves, and I believe I mean, mental health is a whole 'nother show, but
Yes.
I believe taking care of your mental health transitions into obviously to your physical health,
Yep.
and enjoying life and doing things that you want to do is what helps with that mental health. So if
Yes.
that's vacationing, if that's shopping, people are it's funny because I'm like not I won't say traditional advisor. Like sometimes whatever you want to do, I'm gonna help you figure out the numbers, but we're gonna do it. So if you need a purse budget on your budget, I don't just
Right.
we don't have a purse budget. If that's not it, if you need a vacation budget like every single month, okay, how do we get there? Because that's
Mhm.
important. I want you to be doing what you want to do so that you're happy. And then you're also motivated to also save for the retirement. Now we're going to do smart things like, take advantage of your retirement plan at work, take a matching advantage, matching
Yeah.
dollars and things like that. But I like to start with what's important to you and how do we build that today so that you even stay
Yep.
motivated for what's coming down the road.
I love that because we all know people who sacrificed their entire life
Hmm.
and then they retired and then they only
And
got
die.
through maybe a couple years of their retirement and then they were gone. It was
Yeah.
like they spent all this energy
Mhm.
focused on their retirement and then it's just like life happened, something, they became a caregiver, they whatever. They came down with an illness and it's like they never even got a chance to enjoy what they had worked 30 to
Mhm.
40 years for, you
Yeah.
know? So I do think that's really important and just a personal anecdote. Many of my listeners have heard about my brother Kurt, who's like my soul brother, my blood brother. Like I feel like we've known each other through like 25 lifetimes. It's just really amazing relationship that we have. And we've had this really close relationship for like 25 years. And I remember he retired from, the city of Fort Wayne, blue collar job, finally retired, worked there forever. Literally, the year he retired, he got diagnosed with stage 2 throat cancer.
Mm.
And thankfully he survived. He
Mhm.
survived, but talk about a wake-up call,
Mhm.
right? And guess where he is right now? He's on a 15-day cruise
Yes.
through the Panama Canal, right? With my
Yes.
aunt and uncle, and longest vacation he's ever taken in his entire life. And I'm so grateful that he's doing this because one, we've had a lot of loss in our family, which my listeners are very aware of. So that causes you just to kind of like retool your thinking about how you approach life. And because of what he personally went through. And I was so grateful when he said that he was going to go ahead and invest in this. And his financial planner was like, Kurt, you've got the money.
Yeah.
You got it. Like, well, you're just sitting on it. It's not doing anything.
Exactly. Go have fun
Right?
with it.
Like, go and enjoy it. Like, this is what you worked so hard for. And he's super thrifty. His house is paid off. His cars are paid off. Like, he has zero debt. It's like he lives a pretty simple life, single, no kids, right?
Mhm.
And his financial planner was like, dude, take the
Yeah.
trip. Okay.
Spend the money. Yeah. Take the trip.
Take the trip.
That's
So
good.
if we were to hashtag this episode, that would be it. Like
Yes.
hashtag take
Take the
the trip.
trip. Take the trip. Yeah, and plus we don't even make like 65, that's a fake number. I'm also working to like help people just shift that. Like, why are we stopping? I mean, you and
Yes.
I are working right now. Like,
Yes.
do we want to? We don't want to stop. Like, I want to still be at 60, 70, doing interviews, hanging out, talking to people.
Yes.
Like, I'm not trying to go knit on the front porch. Like, I will die.
Right.
So it's like we've been running to this race of like, we got to get to this age and we got to get to that whatever. And it's
Yep.
like, why? No, our generation is like, and what I see too, like my moms and my women that are like out here, they have real estate, they've got
Yep.
stock options from their company, they have a separate business, like
Yep.
they've got many irons in the fire. So it's not the traditional work for one company, retire at
True.
65, get a watch and do whatever. So
Yes.
we don't need to even think and plan that strict way to like, I need to build. And honestly, it makes people feel like they haven't done enough. And it can be depressing because they're like, I don't have enough to stop working at 65.
Yep. Yep.
You shouldn't stop working at 65. Like, why do you feel like you have to build this huge nest egg to like slam on the brakes and start pulling money from that right away? That is
Yep.
not, that's just not
Yep.
have to be your reality.
I love that, and for those that follow Mel Robbins, she's been talking a lot about that recently, about the social calendar that was, like, really made up back in the '50s, right? That said they're like, the retirement age was 65, and then it was like this whole industry got built around that number, right?
Yeah.
And that's how it really began to kind of program our consciousness around okay, there's certain things that have to happen before 65. I got to be married by 25. I got to have kids by
Yeah.
28. I've got to have a house by 30, like, right? And she talks about the social calendar. And I love the fact that through these conversations and conversations that she's been having with her listeners, that we're really just beginning to debunk that.
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
For a couple reasons. One is like, women, I'm gonna talk about women. Women are living longer.
Mhm.
Okay. We're living longer as a society, but women are definitely living longer than men, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so the fact that we are living longer, we have more capacity, we have more bandwidth, we have more time. And my big message, and my listeners know this, is that in your 40s, I honestly feel like you're just getting started.
Mhm.
Because up until then, you're trying to figure it all out, or you've been serving others up until that
Serving
point,
others. Yes. Yeah.
right? You've been serving people at your company, you've been serving your children, or you've been serving a parent because you were a caregiver. And it was like, once you're kind of an empty nester, right? And you're kind of in your mid to late 40s, you really start to have this wake up call of like, okay, well, what do I want?
Mhm.
Like, I've been doing all these other things for other people or for these other entities for since I was
Yeah.
born,
Yeah.
and now I'm taking a step back and saying, "Okay, well, what do I really want my life to look like? Because I've got a hell of a lot of years left."
A lot.
Right?
Yes, a lot, a lot. Like, like so many. And that stupid 65 is like based on Medicare when you get insurance from
Yes.
Medicare. Who cares? Like, you can, that doesn't mean get insurance from somebody else. I have people that don't even want to retire. They have all the numbers right, but their
Yep.
mind is so set on 65. They're like, I can't do it because I can't, I can't do that till I get eligible for Medicare. And I'm like, or you just get private insurance because you have millions of dollars over here to buy it. Who
Yep.
gives a retire
Yep.
at 8? You're
Right.
fine. We're like, no, just wait till I get Medicare eligible. What? Like, it's so these numbers, but I love the framing of the social calendar and what you just said
Mhm.
too. Like, okay, so we are 45 getting in this wake up call. And you're like, man, I only got 20 years to like get all that stuff done because 65 is coming. So it even you're like, I think that's why we feel like, oh my gosh, I gotta do this. Now I gotta do what I want to do really quick because I need to go
Yep.
find what I find and find what I've been missing and do all this kind of stuff. And time's running out. So hurry up and do it. Time's not really running out.
It's
It's
not.
it's not running out,
It's
like,
not. That's
it's okay.
all social pressure. That's
Yeah,
all social pressure. So, super good. Okay, let's talk about when it comes to let's talk about basic financial stuff. I'm gonna go kind of like off script for just a second, right?
okay.
But basic financial principles that I think women just need to understand, right? And I'm talking about things like debt reduction, budgeting,
Mhm.
estate planning, investing. Like, what are the just like simple, like that anybody can do? I don't care if someone's like, oh my God, I'm drowning in credit card debt right now, or my student loans are killing me, or
Yeah,
whatever, right? I want to talk to that woman for just a second. Like,
okay.
wherever she is, and of course, there's a lot of questions and assessing that has to happen, but just like off the cuff, like basic strategies that we all can do just to get ourselves from where we are to a step forward. What would be just some of those basic things that you would advise a woman to take a look at, making maybe some adjustments?
Yeah, the most basic thing is, and it's gonna sound super basic, but getting that clarity. Because
Mhm.
if we don't know where we actually stand, it's a
Yep.
scary monster. And
Yep.
so when I do have people come to me, "Oh, I have this, I have credit card debt, I can't pay this car off, I don't know this, I'm trying to buy a house." We don't even know where you are yet. So
Yep.
let's get clarity first. And what that
Yep.
means, like, have a money date. Have a 30-minute, a 60-minute money date. Like Friday
Like
night, get
that.
a glass of wine if you want, whatever, and just put it on paper. Like, this is
Yep.
physically what you could do tonight. And it's not, and don't do anything fancy. Don't get on the apps. Don't get on any of the tools that we all use. Get
Yep.
a piece of paper and just write down. And what you can just do, and I would just say, figure out, and even if it's a big negative number, who cares? What's your
Yep.
net worth? Where are
Yep.
you? Because
Yep.
that's what feels scary. And sometimes when you look at it, you're like, oh, I do own a house and I do own this. It's not as
Yep.
bad as you think. So that's
Mhm.
I want to get clear of where I am. So you're
Yep.
gonna write down like all that you own
Yep.
and then all that you owe
Yep.
and get all of that subtracted and just kind of see where you are. Is it
Yep.
negative, zero, or is it positive? That's
Yep.
one thing to figure out, like, what's my net worth? Because
That's
that
good.
definitely feels so heavy. But sometimes you realize people are like, I'm so drowning. I have 50,000 in credit card debt. But you've got $600,000 equity in your house.
Yep.
Like,
Mhm.
net those together, your situation is not as bad as it looks. So that's one thing. Get clarity, write it down, have a money date, and get all those kinds of things together so that you can really see on paper. Okay,
Mhm.
okay, here's where I am. And then stop. I would not stop, but like thinking about just more positive. What can I do? Like, and not whatever you focus on, that's what you're going to tell yourself. So, not like, I want to get out of debt, because then debt is all you're going to think about debt, 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 debt. But if you're like, I want to increase my net worth,
Mhm.
I want to have more money in the bank, I want to have more in my savings, I want to have more in my whatever. I think because those are the words that you're going to focus on. So,
Yep.
more. Now I'm like, how can I have, you're increasing your net worth by lowering your debt, but you're not focusing on just debt. And
Yep.
then the other thing, debt, that this, yeah, debt, credit, that all, I have a whole feeling about all that. But I would just say, don't worship at the altar of this credit score. Like, it's
Yeah.
important. But I mean, if you think about it, it's only an I love debt score. We may have had this conversation. Like, the only way to have an
Mhm.
800 credit score is to be in a whole bunch of debt and owe a
Yep.
whole bunch of people a bunch of money and pay interest on that money. So, like,
Mhm.
again, let's break that. We have this pride in, like, I've got great credit. It's amazing. That's
Yep.
awesome. When I hear that, I'm like, that's awesome. You've paid a lot in interest and gone into
Yeah.
your, because it's literally the only way. You can have $10 million in the bank and then have no credit. Like, it doesn't
Yep.
matter. It has
Yep.
nothing to do with money. So just like not feeling shame and guilt about that, kind of like figuring out where you are. Make sure you know where your dollars are going. I'm not saying
Yep.
clear credit card debt, but
Yep.
it's not that serious sometimes when you look at the big picture.
That's such good advice. It's the reframe, right? It's the reframe. Like my partner Glenn, he always says, um, versus trying to lose weight and putting like making that the focus, focus on building muscle. So
Mhm.
it's not like I want to lose 10 pounds. It's I want to gain 8 pounds of muscle.
Yeah.
Like that's a totally
That's it.
different.
And your mind's like, oh yeah, I want to go after, not like, I want to stop.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Same
Yes.
concept.
Exactly.
I need to
Exactly.
meet
So
Glenn.
this
I
is
need to meet Glenn. He sounds like,
you do need to meet Glenn. Yeah, yeah, he'll be here probably for Cincinnati Music Festival, so maybe you'll get a chance to see him then. But yeah, but that is it's the same philosophy, right? It's the same philosophy of what we focus on is what we're often going to begin to attract, right?
yep,
And
yep.
so just that simple reframe I think is really powerful. So let's kind of round third and kind of wrap up
Mhm.
some of these things here. So let's talk about let's really talk about like just how the self-talk that women are often um they have in their head as it relates to money, okay? And so we hear that like money is power. So
Mhm.
how can women really wield that power to create more kind of freedom, liberation? How can we really utilize money, because money is really just a tool at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
right?
Yep.
So let's kind of end the conversation talking a little bit about that, how we can really utilize it as a tool for personal power.
Yes, I love that. That's all it is. So, and the way that you turn that money into power is when it gives you choices.
Mm,
So money can do bad things, money can do good things, but if you want
mhm,
that positive power, it's because it gives you choices. So by
mhm,
making these decisions, and that's not focusing on the negative, I gotta save this, I gotta cut here. I want to have choices. I want a choice of where I live. I want a choice
mhm,
of how I spend my time. Is that at work? Is it doing my own thing? I want a choice of who I support and what causes I support. So it's
mhm.
not like I'm hoarding this wealth or hoarding this money. It's creating that, like, it's almost like breathing room, like,
Yeah,
what these choices it gives you, and that helps you stay on track. So, I'm always talking about, when I do financial planning, the first thing we do is this visions and values conversation, and it's an hour, hour and a half conversation,
yep,
and we are getting super clear on what you want and what are those choices we're trying to make your money give you. Because if you
mhm,
tell me, "I wanna be debt free and I wanna live a fabulous life," you know what? I can tell you how to do that right now. sell
Yep.
everything you own here and move to, another continent where you could buy
Yep.
a house for a very little amount of money
Yep.
and live in the village. You would be you could live in my village where I lived in South Africa. Like, go to
Yep.
Murule. It's
Yep.
amazing. You'd be debt free. You'd have a
Yep.
whole bunch of money.
Yep.
Is that really what you want? Like, do you wanna be thousands of miles away from your family, not doing anything you wanna actually do? Like, not
Yep.
no, it's not really what you want. You want a lifestyle that you wanna do, and you wanna have all those choices to live that actual lifestyle. So, instead of focusing on those, "I want this, I wanna be debt free, I wanna do that," what are the choices that money can give you? That's when it really becomes powerful.
That is such a good way to end the conversation. Because that makes so much sense to me that it's about creating choices and getting clarity, which is how we started the conversation, getting clarity about what you actually want your life to look like. I know for me, the choices I'm making today and how I want my life to look looks completely different than what I thought I wanted 5 years ago.
Yes.
Completely different.
Mhm,
Right? It's like I am entertaining conversations around international living. I
mhm,
am entertaining, like, literally, I wanna live in a place where I don't even need a car,
mhm. Yes.
right? And so it's like, "Okay, April, what do you need to do over the next 3 to 5 years to put you in a position or sooner, right? To put you in a position where that's the kinda life that you can actually live, right? And so I really love that. So we started with clarity, right? And now we're talking about the choices that can come when we actually have that clarity. And that's what I think women need to really take into consideration, right? And so for those that really want to connect with you more closely, they maybe want to sit down and have that conversation, go through that assessment. How can people connect with you if they want to dig down a little bit deeper and potentially work with you?
Yeah, so they can find me on all the social channels, of course, put financial planning. I think the easiest thing is my calendar is meetwithapryl.com. April with a Y, April with a Y.
Yes.
So meetwithapryl.com, you'll get my calendar. We can always schedule a call and see if we're a good fit or just even leave some nuggets. And any way that I can help, that's what I'm here for. So, so excited.
Awesome.
Such a great conversation, April.
Yes, this was so good, so good. So for those of you that are watching live or on replay, please, please give April with a Y some love in the comments. And yeah, and let us know what you got out of this conversation because here at the Liberation Lounge, it's all about having real talk with real women. We want to give you real, tangible, yet inspirational advice on how you can live your life better, especially if you are a woman in midlife, because that's who we really speak to. So, with that, everyone, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule today, spending your lunch hour with us. And we look forward to seeing you again next week with none other than Kiana Avery, who's going to be talking about how you can utilize PR in your regular everyday life in order to further your mission, your vision, your goals, your strategy for your business, or even just for you. So we look forward to having that conversation. Until then, April, thank you so, so much. And we look forward to seeing everybody again next week. Bye for now.
Bye.